My workplace screwed up my contract in my favor. Would you change it? I work in IT. After my old place had a bunch of layoffs, I have landed in a place that is pretty good and I've enjoyed it okay so far. I was interviewed by my boss's boss and was offered the job fairly quickly. They passed over my details to HR to deal with the contract for signing and onboarding me. I always noticed that people were in the office later than I was and I thought it was a bit weird. But I never said anything. However, after a conversation I found that my contract has substantially less hours than everyone else in my team. My colleagues are all 8 a.m. until 5:30 p.m. My contract is for 9 to 5 p.m. with a 1-hour lunch. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it actually works out at 30 hours less a month roughly. My boss, who I like, said that my hours I work should be 830 to 530, but I said no. That was the contract I signed, so unless I was needed for something that needed overtime, which happens occasionally, I would be sticking to my agreed hours. So he dropped it but seemed a bit put out. But I do feel a bit guilty because it's obviously been an error because it was the HR lady's first week and she didn't do the contract properly, and I genuinely like my colleagues. Would you change your contract for camaraderie or stick to your guns? Lol, your boss can kick rocks. Who the hell in their right mind lets an employee who is with the company for 1 week make a contract and lets that contract get executed without reviewing it first? Unless they push back more and would consider a redundancy, severance over this, I'd just leave it. Sounds perfect. If this is a salaried position, oh what a glorious mistake it is. Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. Hell no. If you made a mistake, they'd make you stick with it. I'd change it if I needed more money. But no way in hell I'd let them change the hours in my contract without changing my pay as well. What's the problem? They agreed to the contract and surely someone read it before a company representative signed it. Right? If it's been approved, I don't see what the problem is. They wrote the contract and they approved it. Why not just play dumb and work your hours? Depends. Do you think they'll end up terminating you for this eventually? Then you might want to consider giving in. However, make them pay you to do so. You're getting an extra 30 hours of work each month, and you should be compensated for that accordingly. Be a good employee and a great coworker. Other than that, it's a them problem. If it is any consolation, you'd be getting the same pushback if you'd negotiated for the lower hours. I actually did that, negotiated a 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. job into a 9-to-5 with 1 hour for lunch. Once they started getting more people in that didn't bother to negotiate, they started putting pressure on me with the everyone else is starting earlier, staying later. To which I held to my guns because they were doing that as that was their contract. Mine reduced my work hours. I wasn't going to give that up. You wouldn't download a car. Contracts exist for a reason. If they want to modify the contract, then they can offer a new contract. But they must understand that you are in absolutely no obligation to accept modifications to the existing contract. I always said lunch should always be paid for, and also any second over 40 hours should be OT. Double time. That the employees shouldn't not have to pay any taxes on, but the company make it a law for salary employees also. It is not an error, it is a signed agreement. I would weigh my desire to advance in the company against the sweet deal I had. I would stick with it. No, it may have been a mistake, but the fact that you're more diligent regarding the details than they are isn't a problem for anyone but them. 8:30 to 5:30, WTF is that? Even that seems strange, unless it's to account for the 1-hour lunch. Ultimately, the org made you an offer to work a certain amount of hours at a certain level of pay. And both parties signed it. You can hold your ground. You can capitulate and give them what they claim they intended to offer. Or you can meet them somewhere in the middle. If you would expect a higher pay rate for more hours, then maybe you can figure out a win-win scenario. I think the only bad choice you can make is to feel guilty about this situation though. Be fair to yourself no matter what you decide. You made an agreement and there is no universe in which you should feel guilty about doing what you said you would do. There is no wrong answer here. And you should take some time to consider your options. Just make sure that you're being fair to yourself. If there was a contract error in their favor, they'd never fix it unless you threaten to walk, and even then it's not a guarantee. So no, you definitely shouldn't mess with your own contract just because your boss seems a little put out, but ultimately accepted it. Signed, sealed, delivered. Enjoy your unexpected benefit. There's a time to shut up. This is one of those times.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.